Who's got the first question? Raise your hand. They'll bring you a microphone. I love when we come to press conference Q&As and nobody has a question.
Hello, my name is Sasha Matuzak. I write for Fightland. This question is for Dana. Do you have any ideas for who's going to take over UFC operations here in China?
Yeah, Gary Cook. Gary Cook is overseeing everything now, and he hasn't been here yet, but he's going to come out here and assess the situation, and he's going to make some decisions on what he wants to do, where this thing's going, and he'll come back to Lorenzo and I, and we'll sit down and we'll figure it out. Thank you, sir.
咁啱提到啦，喺 UFC 中國相信嚟緊嘅掌台喺呢邊負責中國業務嘅，將會係 Gary Cook，好快咧佢亦都會上任噶啦。So next one, next question.
Yeah, give it to this guy. If the media doesn't have questions, let him ask.
Red cap.
I was just wondering how your trip was to Bora Bora. Because I know you never stop working. So.
Yeah. Well, thank you. It was awesome. I had a blast. It was a great time. I needed it because I'm going to be on the road till like September 8th. But coming to places like this isn't really work. I love it here in Hong Kong. I love Macau. I love the people. The media has been great. It's such a great city. I love it here. I could live here. I love this place.
問下白大南最近再一次嚟到，感覺如何？佢都話非常之中意呢個香港同埋澳門嘅地方啊！話如果俾佢揀，佢會選擇咧嚟香港度居住嘅。OK, next question. Yes, in the middle.
Hi, this question's for both of you. Are we going to get to see you fight Cyborg? Because that's what we all want.
Oh, let me answer that question.
I'd love that too, but I don't make fights. I just show up and win them.
It's a complicated question. Yes, I know Ronda wants that fight. Cyborg is going to fight at 135 pounds. Apparently, she never fought at 135 pounds. She's going to make the weight, do it in Invicta. We'll see what happens, and we'll go from there. All right? She does want this fight. I know a lot of people talk a lot of shit like she doesn't, but she does. So we'll see what happens.
Next question.
This question is for Ronda. Recently, you have a project that you did the Expendables free. So, like, how does you feel working with all those legends?
Well, is definitely an honor and extremely intimidating. I really hit the ground running, and the first scene that I ever filmed in my entire life was Sylvester Stallone. So it was very daunting, but it was also, it made it a lot easier for me too, and that I know that the movie is going to be a success because there are so many icons involved in it, and it, I don't know, it's one of those things where I'm never gonna forget it for my entire life, and I feel like it's gonna make every other movie seem a lot less intimidating because I did that one first, but also it's like, man, nothing's ever gonna top that. I'm never gonna be, sitting in a helicopter with every action movie star that I ever idolized as a kid, and so it was an amazing experience.
咁問到Ronda 關於佢嚟緊咧將會參演第3集嘅Expendable， 佢都話覺得能夠同一班嘅係可以話喺電影界方面嘅一啲嘅動作片嘅巨星一齊合作咧，係可以話佢係畢生難忘，亦都覺得可能佢將來都唔會有機會再可以去到呢一個咁高嘅層次，因為可以係同一個嘅地點去同一班嘅動作嘅傳奇嘅明星一齊去拍攝，係非常之難得嘅事嚟嘅。Next one.
Do I have to ask a serious question or can it be
Any question would be nice.
Yeah, this is for Ronda. Who wins in a fight, Superman or Goku?
Goku would definitely win because Superman is like capped out, you know what I mean? Like his powers are where they're at and they're not gonna get any more. I mean, I don't think, like Goku can destroy an entire planet and I don't think Superman can do that. And definitely Goku.
Nice.
Yeah, it was
Wow.
Wow.
She made that sound like a real serious question. Impressive.
I was gonna ask a second question, but it was, will you marry me? But I don't want to answer that anymore.
You know what? That shirt is so awesome. I got the same one, and so that helps your case. But I don't know. You had to put in more work than a cool shirt.
Thank you.
Next one. Oh, in the front.
Yeah, sorry, question for Ronda as well. The movie is obviously a lot of guys from different backgrounds. You learn a trick or two from Jet Li or whoever, and any of the crew you think would make the cage or would be good to fight in UFC?
Well, out of the whole Expendables cast, who would do well in the UFC? Well, I think, Randy Couture's already been in the UFC, and the closest thing to that is probably Victor Ortiz. But he's very much a boxing background, so it'd be very hard for him to transition over, but I think, he's the most realistic one. No, I didn't get a chance to train or do anything with Jet, and I saw him mostly shooting. Actually, he was shooting like this big giant gun when I saw him, and the only thing I learned is how to keep a really cool expression on your face when you're shooting at a machine gun. I hope in the future, if they continue to make more, I'll have more of a chance to work with him, because I always loved his wushu style of fighting, and next time.
咁問到又係阿 Ronda 參與今次嘅電影拍攝，佢都話見到一班嘅動作片嘅巨星，會唔會話有啲可以佢覺得係可以參加 UFC 嘅比賽？佢都覺得咁多嘅明星都好，其實佢好多，尤其是頭先我哋問到關於李連杰，佢都話佢其實好中意見到佢哋，但係雖然知道佢有個武術嘅背景，但係好多時喺個參演拍攝嘅時候都係攞槍多過真係自己打嘅。Next one.
This is for Ronda. In this part of the world, there's still a heavy traditional martial arts atmosphere. And of course, you coming from a judo background, Japan is huge in judo and then kung fu in China. Can you give maybe some advice to some people that now that UFC has come to Asia and made MMA is starting to become very, very popular in this part of the world? Can you give some advice for some traditional martial artists who might want to make that switch over to MMA?
Advice. Well, it's more like judo, kung fu, other things like that. I think you can't be afraid to avoid what you're missing. And so when I started doing MMA, I haven't worn a gi and done judo, trained in judo since I started doing MMA. Like, seriously. And so some days I'll be like, oh, for fun, let's throw a gi on and move around. But it hasn't really been part of my training. And I think if you want to transition over, you really have to embrace what you don't know.
問到關於Ronda 本身佢自己有柔道嘅 background 啦，亦都有中國功夫嘅 background。咁對於一啲可以話喺呢一邊喺亞洲方面嘅地區嘅朋友，好多係可能之前係未有綜合格鬥技嘅經驗，可能只不過係一啲係練緊習武嘅朋友，係有啲咩嘅建議係可以轉換咗個平台嚟參與呢一個 MMA 嘅綜合格鬥技。咁佢都話其實最緊要個宗旨就係話唔好係太過介懷，係一啲自己可能唔識嘅嘢。反而咧令到自己再學翻多啲嘅嘢嘅時候，可以幫助自己咧，可能可以轉換到平台嚟參與多啲 MMA 嘅綜合格鬥技嘅賽事或者嘅練習嘅。好 ，next question.
I want to ask, I was inspired by the Goku versus Superman question. So, Charmander, Squirtle, or Bulbasaur?
Charmander every single time. I always started with Charmander. And yeah, that was my first Pokemon ever, was Charmander. I had to say Charmander.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Next question, please.
Hello. Hi, this is for Ronda. I was wondering, do you still need to prep because you're so good at judo? Do you still need to practice it, or do you spend lots of time working on your boxing? Second question, can you beat 16 seconds?
Well, the judo I practice, it's more no-gi judo. So for the last camp, I brought in Justin Flores, who was he was on the world team and a lot of things with me growing up, and he really helped me keep my judo sword sharp. But we do mostly no-gi because I've been doing gi for so long that I had to I have to try and keep the good habits and lose the bad ones. So I did a lot of judo training for the last fight. But for the fight before that, McMahon, I focused only on wrestling because she was a wrestler. So it depends on who the opponent is. But I forgot what the question was. Can I beat 16 seconds? A funny thing about that, after I beat McMahon at a minute 6, my coach and I had a bet, and he was like, no one's ever going to beat a minute 6 knockout in women. So I'm like, I was like, yeah, somebody is, or something like that. That was the bet. Wait, no. I forget which way it went. Yeah. I said that somebody will beat it, and then we had a bet going on for a couple $1,000s, and then I beat it. And no, I said no one would beat it. That was it. And I ended up beating it myself, and I didn't know that I counted. So I actually owe my coach like $5,000 right now. So I don't know if I would make that bet again, but yeah, you know what? I'll say it again. I'll say if no one will ever beat 16 seconds, including myself, and if I do or somebody else does, then I owe my coach another $5,000.
Next question.
This one's for Ronda. So during the filming of The Expendables, did you feel like over here?
Oh, right there.
Hi.
Hey.
Hey.
Did you feel like you could take the entire cast in a fight?
I will never say that I can't do anything. I'm not going to start putting limits on myself, but it would definitely help, like, in the environment. So I could definitely take all of them. Well, I do well in movie theaters because, you know,
Yeah,
it makes
heard
it
about that.
narrow, kind of like 300, where they can't get around you.
Right.
So environment has a lot to do with it. Like, if I was like in an empty room, they could surround me. It'd be a lot harder.
Right.
If we were in a hallway, I'd have a lot easier time. But it's possible in any circumstance, I think.
But one-on-one, you've got it in the bag then.
Wait, what?
One-on-one, you've got it in the bag then.
Did you hear
One-on-one fights.
One-on-one?
One-on-one.
One-on-one fights? I told you,
With the cast.
I could beat anybody in the world in any situation. You can't say it's statistically impossible, and so I will never say that I can't.
And a second question. Are we going to see an armbar in the movie?
I don't want to spoil anything. You should go watch it, actually.
I will. Thanks.
Thank you. Next one right here.
Hi, this question is for Rana. How much you're looking forward to if UFC lets you decide to fight Gina Carano?
How much am I looking forward to it?
Yes.
I mean, it's the fight that I've been looking forward to ever since I found out women's MMA existed. And, you know, you ever hear the saying, you know, work until your idols become your rivals? And it would really be a dream come true to be able to fight Gina. And not in, like, you know, a malicious sense. It's the highest form of respect that I could show to her is to come and fight her and give her every single thing that I have.
We're all looking forward to it. Good luck.
Thank you.
咁啊啱 Ronda 都有問下可唔可以有機會同佢嘅偶像Gina White 一齊咧係去比賽，咁佢都希望咧咁啊對於一個佢自己咁尊敬嘅偶像嚟講，佢都希望將來可以有機會同佢一齊咧就係同台競技嘅。Next one.
Hi, welcome to Hong Kong. First of all, this question's for Dana and for Ronda. First, Dana first. Could you talk a little bit about the signing of Eddie Alvarez and who's he going to fight next and how much that had to do with Scott Coker being the new CEO of Bellator?
Yeah, I'm really happy for Eddie Alvarez. You know, Eddie Alvarez was in a really bad situation. He got the bad end of that deal, you know, for the last couple of years. As a professional athlete, especially as a fighter, you have a very small window of opportunity to not only accomplish and do great things, but to make money, you know, to put away for after you're done being a professional athlete. And finally, the kid gets to come where all of the best fighters in the world are, challenge himself against the best, and hopefully make some money and take a run at the title. He's going to fight Donald Cerrone, and Cerrone's on a tear. He's mentally, physically, emotionally, you know, back into the sport, and it's a big fight for these guys. So I'm actually happy for both of them. It's a great fight for Cerrone too. So I'm very much looking forward to it, and I'm really happy for Eddie Alvarez.
Thank you. And this one's for Ronda. What do you think about Hong Kong, and when are we going to see you headline a card in Macau?
Well, I absolutely love Hong Kong so far. It's one of the cities actually I've been hearing about for probably 15 years, maybe more. My mother won the Pacific Rims here back in the 80s, and she always talked about how it was her favorite city that she ever visited. And I just called her this morning, and she's not the touristy type at all. And she was just going on and on and on. You have to see this, you have to see that, and you have to eat this, and you have to go there. And so I'm just excited because I've been hearing about it for so many years, and I can't wait to go back and tell her how different it is, 20, 30 years later.
Does she usually join you in part of the training process?
What?
Does she usually join you part of the training process? Because she's like a gold medalist.
Well, my mom stopped she stopped doing randori, which is judo. It's like judo sparring with me when I was around 13 or 14. And this is how tough my mom is. I never knew why. She just mysteriously stopped training with me. And it turns out that we were training one day and I broke her wrist. And she didn't flinch or show anything at all. I never knew until 10 years later. And I was like, oh my God, Mom, I'm so sorry, I broke your wrist. So yeah, we don't train together anymore. My mom fought at 56 kilos, and nowadays she's probably walking around at 115. So I'm the tallest person in my family. I'm like a head taller than my mother, and it wouldn't really make sense for us to roll these days.
Thank you.
咁啊，Ronda頭先都話好中意香港啦。咁啊，佢媽咪以前都曾經係成日嚟過香港，咁所以佢翻到嚟嘅時候，佢都有打電話咁啊，同佢傾偈，有同媽咪講，媽咪都同佢講話有啲咩特別嘅地方咧，係香港係一定要去嘅。咁啊，因為佢以前即係佢而家都媽咪冇再同佢去訓練啦。咁啊，當佢13、14歲嘅時候，佢媽咪已經停止咗同佢一齊去練習。咁不過佢曾經試過有一次係練習嘅時候整傷佢媽咪，但佢媽咪會同佢講，隔咗10年先知道。咁啊，但係當時亦都冇啲咩嘅異樣啊，咁所以佢都覺得一個好特別嘅經歷嚟嘅。Next question, please.
The question for Dana, right here. I'm the editor for the UFC Sina Weibo, so lots of Chinese MMA fans want to know is because there's more and more Chinese fighters have chance to fight inside of the octagon, and what kind of Chinese fighter you're looking for, and who do you think will be the next Chinese superstar in UFC? Thanks.
It's hard to tell, but every time we go into a new market, we put on an event, we start to create more awareness, educate more people about it. More and more people start to train in mixed martial arts. The thing about a place like this country, there's so many people. There's so many people here. Martial arts started in China, and God only knows. I mean, God only knows who's out there and how talented they are. All these young people that will start to come up and start training in mixed martial arts. But the one thing that we do know is we have a track record. We've seen it happen everywhere. We saw it happen in the United States. We saw it happen in Canada. We saw it happen in Brazil, England, all throughout Europe. The Middle East now is getting into mixed martial arts. Australia, Japan, Korea. China will follow, and there's 1 billion people here. There's going to be some seriously talented people that come out of this area, and I'm looking forward to it. But it's not going to happen overnight. It's a process. It takes time, and we're invested, and we're going to keep working it here.
咁啊問題問到阿白大拿先生就係話喺中國佢係尋找緊啲咩嘅選手咧，同埋嚟緊可能喺中國係佢認為有啲咩嘅選手係會成為係中國喺UFC 方面嘅超級巨星。咁佢都話因為始終個最大嘅問題就係中國好多人啊，10億嘅人口裏邊可能有好多嘅人才。咁啊而且咧武術嘅發源地都係來自中國，咁所以佢就係最好嘅就係我哋而家可以開始喺呢一度建立到一個 UFC 嘅比賽，咁亦都可以話跟隨住之前佢哋係不同嘅國家嗰個發展，希望可以係能夠更加可以有多啲嘅機會尋找到更多係有實力嘅選手。咁當然話邊個會最強咧，未知嘅，因為人實在太多。咁啊睇下將來嘅發展會係點啦。Next question, right there.
What's your opinion on Holly Holm, Ronda?
I'm so excited that Holly Holm got signed. Whoop! These chairs are not conducive to heels. But yeah, she's someone that I've had an eye on for a while. I think that she's a really exciting fighter. You don't see women that are world championship boxers knocking people out with head kicks very often. And I think that she's not just great for for a title fight. She's great for the whole division and giving the women, you know, some real legitimacy. And I couldn't be happier about her joining the company.
That's what's so unique about Ronda. Ronda gets excited about new women that get signed. It's not like there's any jealousy or hatred or, oh, I'm not going to fight. She wants to fight everybody, and she gets as excited as we do when we sign new talent and is excited to fight them. She's a very unique individual.
Any more questions? In the back.
Hello. Hello. This is for Ronda. What advice? I know you got off a knee injury. What advice would you have for people who are recovering from knee injuries? And second of all, I know you train with a lot of Armenians. Do you like Armenian cuisine? And if you do, what would you recommend?
Armenian barbecue. That's where it's at. It really is. What was the first part of the question? I started thinking about knee injuries. Well, you just, right after you get your surgery or whatever, you have to focus on what you can use. 2 weeks after my ACL surgery, I was 16 years old. 2 weeks afterward, my mom had me on the mat doing push-ups. She says, your arms work. And so you have to think about what actually works, what can you actually do. And so same thing after this last knee surgery. I'm laying on the couch. I'm pretty much totally laid up with my knuckle and the knee and everything. My mom shows up in the morning, comes up to my room, makes me get out of bed and do abs right in front of her. She's like, your stomach works. Come on. No. And so if I'm coming back from an injury, I like to focus on what I can do instead of worrying about what I can't do. And then steadily, as you're healing, and you could do more and more and more.
Thank you.
問題問就話，如果當係遇到傷患嘅時候，要喺復原當中點樣去處理？佢都話當要清楚自己有啲咩可以做同埋唔可以做。咁喺可以做嘅地方，如果譬如好似喺個膝頭嘅傷患，咁咪避免唔好用到個膝頭之外，仲有其他身體嘅部位仍然都可以做鍛鍊噶嘛。所以去繼續咁去保持住個鍛鍊嘅。Next one.
Dana, are you going to make the super fights happen?
I want to. That's my job. I hope that's what I'm going to do. We've talked about super fights in the past, and they, for one reason or another, didn't happen. And when we talk super fights, let's talk about what super fight means. If you have the George St. Pierre versus the Anderson Silva, if you have the Anderson Silva versus the John Jones guys, the guys who have had the titles almost cleaned out an entire division. Any super fights that we're looking at right now, in my opinion, would be like a Anthony Pettis versus Jose Aldo. Even though Pettis has been injured for a while and hasn't defended the title again, he beat Ben Henderson, who was a guy who had annihilated that whole division. He beat him, and he beat him easily. And Jose Aldo and Pettis have been talking about moving back and forth to take each other's belts. So really, right now, that's the only one I can think of that would be a super fight, unless you look at like a Cormier, who's been out there forever in the heavyweight division and has beat a lot of guys and is now fighting at light heavyweight, has beat a bunch of guys and now will fight Jones. So when there is a super fight to be made, I hope to make it.
Good. I want GSP and John Jones.
GSP and John, that's a stretch there, my friend. There's a bit of a weight difference between those guys. That's not a super fight, that's a stupid fight. Okay?
But I love them too.
Yeah, what did George St. Pierre do to you that you want to get him killed? He weighs 170 pounds. The other guy walks around at like 230.
He's a French.
All right, no matchmaker job for you, my friend.
And for
Did you say he's French?
And for Ronda, and I heard rumors that your mom wakes you up with an armbar every morning. Is that true?
Well, not every morning, It wasn't like my snooze button or anything. But no, she was better at keeping me on my toes, as I didn't know when it was coming. So yes, I have been woken up with arm bars. I've been woken up with her telling me to do an arm bar, and plenty of times where I kind of have this tick where I don't like my back being open. Like if I sit at a restaurant, like I want to face the door and other things like that, because I would just sit in the living room watching TV, and my mom would sneak behind me and throw me a weird naked choke. On the regular. Actually, she did that, I think, not the last time I was at the house, but the time before that. She still does it to this day. And she keeps me sharp. I appreciate it. She's my Kato.
Thank you.
We'll do one more. You got one more? One more. All right, my man. Right here at the end.
Just a quick question about Conor McGregor. How many fights do you think he's away from a title fight?
Well, the whole Conor McGregor thing, you know, obviously a super talented guy, great charisma, you know, huge following in Ireland and other, you know, the United States and wherever. His big fight's coming up. Poirier is the real deal. This kid is a veteran. He's tough. He's fought a lot of good guys. He's been out there for a long time. If Conor McGregor can beat Poirier, it really shows you where he's at, what level he is, and where he sits in the rankings. A win over Poirier, and who knows what's next for that kid. It definitely legitimizes all the Conor McGregor hype and all the excitement about the kid. This next fight's gonna tell everything.